Hello everyone, Derek here. This is another episode of Fun with Linux. In this episode, we're going to have a Q&A special. Now, it's not going to be very long because I asked you guys a couple days ago, 6 days ago actually, to give me some general questions to answer. Now, I wasn't expecting much because I don't have many subscribers, and I got 4 good questions and 1 spam comment that I had to remove, but actually 2 spam comments. But anyways, so the first question I've got is from someone by the name of Tech Rage, and he says, do you have a Linux distro in mind that is the prime example of how Linux should be? Alright, well, if we're talking about my philosophy for how Linux should be made, it should be bleeding, it should be always new. I shouldn't be locked into a release cycle every 6 months. I should be able to test out the new technologies. Packages should be everywhere. I should be able to try everything out and not have to fuss with it, not have to do a lot of things to get everything working. So with that in mind, Arch Linux is my prime example of how Linux should be. You know, I know a lot of people talk about how it can be hard to maintain and hard to use, but to those people, I just say go use Manjaro, you know. Next question is from Jonathan Smith, and this question is sort of along the same line, I guess. And so he's asking, what is my favorite flavor of Linux? So Arch Linux is my favorite Linux distribution, hands down. It always is. Gonna be that. But I suppose since I've already talked about Arch a little bit, I should talk about my second favorite. And my second favorite right now is Solus. And if you watch the Solus review, it's just because of how simple it is, how fast it is. I don't know if the developers are trying to make it as bleeding edge as, say, like Arch or Gentoo or something, but it seems to get steady updates. It's rolling, and I love the rolling release model. So, Solus, it's a great distribution. Number 2, it's number 2. So the next question is from Mayor Cohen, and sorry if I mispronounced your name or whatever, but I don't really do names very well. So he says, nice progress. I'm planning on trying out Linux soon. Only tried running it from a USB drive for like an hour to be my daily driver for a while so I can get used to it. What are the top 10 things you think a new Linux user needs to install? So for me as a Linux user, the top 10 things that I need to have my terminal, I need to have a good web browser, I need to have a good email client, I need to have a good music player, and I need to have, a video editor and a graphics editor, and I need an audio editor so I can make this video. But as for my recommendations, Firefox is pretty good on Linux. Chrome and Chromium are also pretty good. Terminator is my preferred terminal. For music, I don't know if you watched the Google episode where I switched to Subsonic. That was pretty good for a while, but for now, for music, I use Google Music Desktop Player. And there are also other good ones out there like Rhythmbox or Clementine or Amarok or Banshee. And, lots of different tools out there. It really comes down to what your needs are. So if you can sit down and you can think about, okay, what do I use on my Mac or my Windows computer? And then go to the website alternative2.net and search each individual program, and it will give you a list of alternatives for whatever platform you want. And the last question here is from Project Hamilton. Interesting name. And they say, hello, I like what you're doing with Linux, and I think you will be able to reach people who have not considered Linux before. Well, thank you. I try my best. So he says, my question is, do you feel that Linux would progress more if base distribution was identified and funding was pushed through donations to that one singular distribution, or do you feel that would by definition go against what Linux is striving to achieve? In your opinion, what is the larger goal, a free alternative or the freedom to customize and redistribute? So I think what you're getting at here is it better to unify behind one singular Linux distribution, where everyone just puts all the money and all the effort behind that one thing? And I think that's what we already do, right? Because everyone has all their power behind the Linux kernel. But I'm pretty sure that's not what you're saying. You're saying stuff like Ubuntu, right? That's one of Linux's worst worst problems is fragmentation. Like, if I go to recommend a distribution to my uncle or something, I have to think of like 4 different things, and I have to recommend him which one I think is best. And it would be nice to just be like, okay, here's one distribution and that's it. Like, you have like, here's Windows or here's Mac, and that's it, right? But that's also the weakness right there is also a strength. So if I'm using Arch right now because I had problems with Solus, if Arch was the only distribution out there, I would never be able to try out Solus. And if it was reversed and Solus was the only distribution I had, and the problems that I was getting with the stupid audio buzzing crap, then I'd be stuck there. And I think freedom is important, and I think the reason that it's noble to want to put all the power behind one big distribution, it's understandable. But I think a good way around this is to follow what Canonical is doing, and Canonical is making snap packages. And of course you have the Flatpaks, but in my opinion they're not as interesting. But we can still continue to have things like Fedora and SUSE and all these other Linux distributions, and forget about unifying. And as long as we have one major similar format for packages, and all the corporate money goes there in the technology, we can put it in whatever we want, and whatever gets the most popular, that's what it is. And companies will come to Linux to spread it out and use different operating systems because of the technology being similar, because you can have game developers and technology creators seeing one similar package format that works on all the different ones, and then we didn't have to worry about fragmentation. And that's my thoughts on it. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this short little Q&A video. Great comments, good stuff. Hopefully next time I do this, I get more though. So I'm looking forward to that. And I don't know when I'm going to do one, probably when I hit 500 subscribers, which is going to be a while. But, I seem to get a lot of subscribers every single day now. We're at 161 right now, so that's kind of cool. Like this video if you liked it, and if you're new here, click the subscribe button, and I will see you on Friday with a new video.